Yes, sir. What's your name?
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Just have a question. I've got a friend of mine, a coworker actually, who goes to Bible studies, believes in the Bible, but when we get on the subject of talking about hell, she doesn't believe that it's a real physical place of torment. I know we didn't really talk about that tonight, but I've shown her scripture about hell and the attributes of it being a physical place, but she still doesn't believe. Is there a better way to approach her, or there, you know, what are some other things I can share with her to really elaborate on that?
Let me use an illustration I used at the University of Michigan with an atheist who asked me that kind of question. His name was Eddie Tabash, and we were at the University of Michigan, and we got to question one another during the debate, and his question to me was this: Frank, my mother was a survivor of the Holocaust. She lived a life full of pain and suffering. Toward the end of her life, somebody offered her the gospel, but she rejected it. Is she in hell right now? I said, wow, that's a tough question to ask in front of a secular audience, right? So I said, Eddie, I don't know where your mother is now. I don't know if she had a deathbed conversion or not. But if she didn't accept Christ before she died, then God is too loving to force her into heaven against her will. You see, the assumption is everybody wants to go to heaven. That's not true. There are people running from Jesus their entire lives. They don't want to be with Jesus. He's in heaven. And so I asked the audience that night this question. In fact, I'll ask you ladies this question, because this is the question I asked the audience at Michigan, was this. Ladies, have you ever had a man pursue you whom you did not want to date? Some of you are going, yeah, and he's sitting next to me right now. He will not leave me alone. Whenever I ask that question, the ladies always giggle and the men look at their shoes. Is she looking at me right now? Well, suppose this man keeps asking this young woman out, and she finally has enough of it, and she says, look, I like you, but only as a... Ladies, why don't you just stick the knife in and turn it? Every man has heard the dreaded friend rejection. Newsflash, men, if you ever hear that, move on. She's not interested. Because if she wasn't... What?
Thank you.
I heard a thank you back there. Move on. She's not interested. All right. Who was that? All right. Very good. Very good. In fact, I hate to be direct with you here, but I'm going to be. She doesn't even like you as a friend. She's just being nice. If she did like you, she'd be interested. Now, suppose this doesn't deter him. He continues to pursue. He continues to pursue. He gets to the point where he says, look, I love you so much, I'm going to force you to love me. Ladies, run, screaming from the building. Can he force you to love him? No, love by definition must be freely given. So if he did truly love you, what would he do? He would leave you alone. That's what God does for us. He sends us cards, letters, and flowers. He sends us creation. He sends us conscience. He sends us Christ. He sends us the Bible. He sends us missionaries. He sends us TV broadcasts, radio broadcasts, TV broadcasts if you have DirecTV. He sends us... In some countries, like Muslim countries now, he's appearing to people in dreams and visions because they can't get the gospel, but they want it. Now, if God does all that and we keep saying no, 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 then God will give us up to our own desires. In fact, Paul even says this in Romans chapter 1. He gives us up to our own desires. He leaves us alone. Now look, if there is a God and there is an afterlife, there's only two possible destinations. You're either going to be with God, that's called heaven, or you're not. You're going to be separated from God, that's called hell. And heaven is, of course, a place of great bliss because you're with the one source, the ultimate source of love and goodness out there. And everybody, whether they're believers or not, here on this earth has some of the benefits of God. His rain falls on the just and the unjust. His common grace goes out to everybody. Everybody experiences love and relationships and good things and these kind of things. But I want you to imagine a place where there's none of that, where there is no love, there are no relationships, there is no hope, there is no future. There's just stone-cold, narcissistic self-absorption. That's hell. You're separated from the only source of goodness out there. And according to the Bible, particularly if you look at Luke chapter 16, notice Lazarus and the rich man. The rich man's in hell, Hades, and he's not complaining about, I got to get out of here. He just wants Lazarus to serve him and make him feel better. And he doesn't say, I don't deserve being in here. He just says, go tell my brothers about the resurrection. They're not even going to believe if somebody rises from the dead. Why? Because they don't want to believe. The problem isn't here. The problem's here. They don't want it. So hell is the place of separation from God, and there will be levels of punishment in hell based upon how evil somebody was. Obviously, it would be unjust for God to put somebody, a garden variety person who didn't trust in Jesus, at the same level of punishment as, say, Hitler, just like there will be levels of reward in heaven. So this seems to be just. And at the end of the day, what I would say to that individual is this: if God is just and he is the standard of justice, whatever happens in the afterlife will be completely just. So nobody's going to complain, gee, I should have gone to heaven, or I should have gone to hell, or any of this. Everyone's going to get exactly what God in his just being will give them because of what they have done, or whether they've put their faith in the salvation of Christ.